Dr. Rich.
And I think
Okay, I need to, before we get started, ask the commission members to give us just a moment whenever we decide to take a break, because Beth will have to go and turn the computer off or put it on pause, since we don't have anybody in the back of the room to do that for us today.
and Cody, I thank you for agreeing for this to happen. And I would put extra burden on both of you, but I took my commitment seriously, and I just simply can't be there in person. But I wanted to participate, and I thank you for the trouble you've gone to.
That's not a problem at all. Don't mind at all, Dr. Rich. Okay, Madam Chair, if you're ready.
Right. Good morning, fellow commission members, staff members, attorneys, and guests. The date is Friday, March the 18th, 2016, at approximately 9:30 Central Daylight Time. I am Minnie Ann Lane, your commission chairman, and I'll now call the roll for the meeting of the Tennessee Private Investigation and Polygraph Commission. I'll now call to order the meeting of the Tennessee Private Investigation Polygraph Commission, and I'd like to request that Executive Director Cody Vest call the roll and verify a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before I do that, everyone does understand, since we do have a commission member who is calling in, every vote must be a roll call vote. All right. David Brown,
Here.
Larry Flair,
Here.
David Horton, William Jones, Minnie Lane,
Here.
Jerry Richards, Dr. Rich,
Present by telephone conference bridge.
Alan Russo. All right. Let the record show David Horton, Rick Jones, Jerry Richards are not present. And we do have one member on a teleconference, but you do have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Executive Director Vest. I'll now ask if each commission member present has received and had time to review a copy of the agenda, and if there's a motion to adopt the agenda as it's presented.
So move.
Motion by Commissioner Russo to adopt the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Brown.
All right, we'll have a roll call here.
Any
David Brown?
discussion?
Yeah, excuse me.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, and if you would do a roll call.
David Brown,
Aye.
Alan Russo,
Here.
Minnie Lane,
Aye.
Larry Flair,
Aye.
Dr. Rich.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Motion carries. If each commission member has reviewed the minutes of the February the 5th commission meeting, then I'll ask if there's a motion to approve these minutes as they are presented.
I'll make that motion, Madam Chairman. Larry Flair.
Motion by Commissioner Flair. Is there a second?
Second.
The motion is second by Commissioner Russo. Is there any discussion? Would you do a roll call, please?
David Brown,
Aye.
Alan Russo,
Aye.
Minnie Lane,
Aye.
Larry Flair,
Aye.
Dr. Rich.
Aye.
Your ayes have it.
Okay, following the agenda here,
Yeah, I believe, Madam
You
Chair, you
want-
have election.
Of the
We do
vice
have
chairman.
a commission member that has resigned. And then he did serve as the vice chair. So we would need to have an election for vice chair, but I'm asking you to move it to our next meeting when we may have more commission members present.
I believe that would be
That
wise.
appointment.
Do we need a vote on that, or,
Need that in a motion, Madam Chairman?
okay, is there a motion to move the election of vice chairman to our next meeting?
I'll make that motion, Madam Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Flair. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Brown. All in favor?
Aye. Oh, roll call.
Roll call.
Okay, go ahead and do the roll. Or is
And
there
I-
any discussion first?
And I neglected to say that that commission member was Walt Valentine.
Okay.
So David Brown,
Aye.
Alan Russo,
Aye.
Minnie Lane,
Aye.
Larry Flair,
Aye.
Dr. Rich.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Thank you. At this point in the meeting, we have on the agenda the legal report.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
Okay, I'll respectfully request that our Assistant General Counsel, Ashley Thomas, handle the legal report, which
Thank you. Good
consists.
morning. Case number 1 is 2015-021-544-1 and 2. This complaint opened alleging misconduct by respondents. Complainant alleges that after contracting for surveillance services, respondent failed to return telephone calls and complainant stopped using respondent services. Complainant states that they requested from respondent a surveillance report and corresponding video completed by respondent for a client. Complainant states that after multiple unreturned telephone calls and emails, complainant filed this instant complaint. After filing the complaint, complainant received a returned telephone call and the written report from the respondent. The complainant states that the respondent was hired as an investigator under his company license and did eventually produce the written report. Complainant states that respondent has never produced the requested video. The respondent states that he was an employee of complainant company rather than being hired as a separate investigations company. Respondent states that he completed the investigation request and provided a written report to the complainant. Respondent states that after the investigation, the video was offered to complainant and the respondent was told to hold the copy of the video. Respondent states that a second request for the video came from the complainant 6 months after the investigation. Respondent states that through an accident, the borrowed camera, including the internal hard drive, was destroyed, and the respondent then states he was paid by check made to him personally. My recommendation was closure as the complainant did in fact receive the report. The destroyed video appeared to be an accident, and it was offered at the initial return, and he was told to keep it for 6 months.
There a motion?
I move that we accept the recommendation of council.
Motion by Commissioner Russo. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Brown. Any discussion?
Madam Chair, one question. Rich here in Chattanooga. Is there a quorum without my vote?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I will, even though I received and read, I think in fairness I should abstain from voting on this one.
Hey, would you do a roll call then?
All right, David Brown,
Aye.
Alan Russo,
Aye.
Minnie Lane,
Aye.
Larry Flair,
Aye.
Dr. Rich.
Abstain.
All right, the ayes have it, one abstains. Madam Chair.
Case number 2 is 2015-021-012-1 and 2. This complaint alleges misconduct by respondent. Complainant states that respondent was hired to provide investigative services through an attorney. Complaint states that after providing $3,500 to the respondent through his attorney, he failed to receive the itemized services or completed. Complainant states that after he provided $3,500 to the respondent through his attorney, he failed to receive the itemized services and the respondent failed to complete the investigative services. Complainant filed this instant complaint in an effort to compel respondent to provide the investigative services results and itemized listing or a refund of the money offered as payment. Respondent states that he was hired and paid by complainant's former attorney, and therefore his obligation was to that attorney. Respondent states that his position is that the results of his investigative services fall within attorney work product, and he is unable to release said information without express consent from the hiring attorney. Through investigation, respondent states that he did not offer a response directly to the complainant as to avoid the appearance of being under complainant's employ and destroys any previously effective privilege. Respondent provided a list of itemized services during the investigation, and according to those services, the amount exceeded the amount paid by complainant to the attorney over the criminal matter. Within the complainant's documentation was an April 7, 2015 letter wherein the attorney states, quote, "The contract for services or agreement in this matter was between you, being the complainant, your mother, and respondent." This statement seems to contradict respondent's position that he was employed by the attorney. Further, complainant included correspondence directly from respondent, which further lends itself to the implication that respondent was hired by complainant but did in fact receive payment from respondent's attorney. My recommendation is to issue a letter of warning regarding Tennessee Comprehensive Rule and Regulation 1175-04-.06 subpart 4 and 1175-04-.08, including a warning regarding clearly defining the relationship between the investigator and the client, and then closing as to the request for a refund. that's outside the jurisdiction of this commission.
Is there a motion?
I move that we accept the recommendation of council.
Commissioner Russo made a motion to accept the recommendation of council. Is there a second?
Excuse me, commission members, let's make sure we speak loudly into the microphones.
Is there a second?
I'll second it, Madam Chairman, Larry Flair.
Second by Commissioner Flair. Any discussion?
Madam Chair, likewise on this one, even though I'm reading it and will destroy it, I will abstain from voting.
Would you do a roll call?
David Brown,
Aye.
Alan Russo,
Aye.
Minnie Lane,
Aye.
Larry Flair,
Aye.
Dr. Rich.
Abstain.
Ayes have it, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
I think we're moving on to number 3.
Okay.
Just before you leave, Commissioner Brown, I believe he was going to recuse himself from this case. Dr. Rich, if I can ask, were you able to look over this?
I'm looking at it now, council. I will be glad to vote. I just wanted in fairness, but if you want to have a quorum without me, I will vote.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're more than welcome.
Case number 3,
Let go on record that he recused himself and left the room. For the record, we need to state that David Brown has recused himself and he has left the room for the vote.
okay, case number 3 is 2015-021-6991. This complaint opened alleging unlicensed activity by respondent. The complaint included an email wherein respondent company requested criminal record searches to be completed. The email contained the parameters of the criminal search requirements as well as the form to be completed. The complaint included respondent company's advertisement, which indicated that it conducts on-site county criminal and civil record searches. Respondent is a subsidiary of a Texas limited liability company and initially leased space in Tennessee in 2008. The lease expired in 2011, and since that time, the company has maintained one employee in the state of Tennessee who performs sales and information technology services. Respondent states that the company searches and retrieves criminal and civil public records, but denies providing investigative and/or security services. Respondent states that its action is less interfering on the public than the exceptions of a mortgage default inspector or a mystery shopper. Respondent states that it is not an investigations company or private investigator as defined, as it does not obtain information with reference to any of the enumerated acts of Tennessee Code annotated 6226-2026, but rather the information is obtained and furnished with reference to customer request. Respondent states that there will be no benefit to the public to require licensure and requests that the commission allow the company to continue operations in the state of Tennessee without a private investigator license. Through investigation, respondent states that currently four of its customers reside in Tennessee, and 3 of those customers have requested public records, research, and retrieval services. The 4th customer has yet to make a request for services. A search of respondent's website indicates that the company specializes in on-site, county-level criminal and civil record information for its customers. My recommendation was closure as no violation was found.
Is there a motion?
I recommend that we close as no violation found as recommended by the attorney.
I'll second that, Madam Chairman.
Motion made by Commissioner Russo to follow the advice of council, second by Commissioner Flair. Is there any discussion on this? I do have a question. On the website, did they advertise as a investigative company?
They do not. They advertise as a public record search and retrieval services. That's what they advertise for.
Would you do a roll call, please?
Alan Russo,
Aye.
Minnie Lane,
Aye.
Larry Flair,
Aye.
Dr. Rich.
Aye.
Ayes have it, Madam Chair.
We're taking a pause so Commissioner Brown can return into the room.
I do have,
Let the record show that David Brown is back in attendance.
thank you. I do have two cases to represent to the commission. The first is 2015-017-902. This complaint opened alleging that respondent engaged in unlicensed activity in violation of Tennessee Code annotated 6226-204A. Respondent, on referral from an out-of-state corporate office, contracted with the Tennessee Corporation to provide background screening services. Respondent states that for information obtained from sources outside the state of Tennessee, it provides those services to the receiving corporation. Respondent further states that for sources of information within the state of Tennessee, it entered into an independent contractor relationship with a licensed private investigations company. Respondent contends that it has not acted as an investigations company or private investigator because of its contract with the Tennessee company for private investigative services for sources outside the state of Tennessee. The prior recommendation was to authorize a formal and issue a consent order with a civil penalty in the amount of $1,000 for violation of Tennessee Code annotated 6226-204A. Through further legal research, I feel that additional consideration by the commission is needed. And of course, that was my recommendation to discuss whether or not those activities constitute unlicensed activity.
Or a motion.
I have a question.
Let's get a motion
Oh.
so we can have a discussion.
Okay. I move that we accept the recommendation of council to further discuss.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Russo. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Brown. Okay, discussion.
Council, on their website or advertisement, does the company state that they perform background checks in the state of Tennessee, or do they state that they have hired a Tennessee corporation to do that?
In this particular case, there was no advertisement in this particular complaint. The respondent stated that it was in a contract with the Tennessee company. The investigative services, if those services needed to be done outside the state of Tennessee, they conducted those. When the searches touched the state of Tennessee, they subcontracted with the Tennessee company.
That's what I'm really trying to ask. Help me with the wording, somebody. If they've subcontracted with a Tennessee corporation, then have they violated the rule because they have used a licensed Tennessee corporation?
And that's why I brought it back to the commission for further discussion. And really the question becomes, because the way the definition is in the Tennessee Code, it's a very broad definition because it says with reference to almost anything. So any search could be seen as private investigation services. And so I brought it to the commission to discuss whether you all believe that an out-of-state company offering those services to a Tennessee company, if that was considered investigative services that needed to be licensed.
Ask this, have we encountered this before?
Happened before?
It's been a
And what-
disposition then.
Every circumstances is different, but
Right.
in the previous case that I can remember, yes, we did require them to hold a license.
Well, I noticed here the recommendation was for formal hearing and issue a consent order and a civil penalty of $1,000. Did they pay the civil penalty or what?
They did not. Upon receiving that proposed consent order, their legal counsel contacted me looking for clarification as well because they wanted to know if they're located out of state and if they touch the state of Tennessee but then contract with a licensed company, what else do they need to do in order to be within the confines of the law, because it would seem as though anything they did would need a license. And so that's why I brought it back to the commission, because you don't want to get into a situation where you're starting to keep companies out of Tennessee from doing business in Tennessee. But the definition is broad enough to where you could make that argument. But in practice, it almost keeps companies from reaching the state.
A copy of that agreement, the contract.
I have not.
I'd like to see that first.
The contract between the respondent and the Tennessee company?
And the Tennessee PI company that they're supposed to be using.
If we need that much information, perhaps we need to require a formal hearing.
I will say, when I presented this previously, both companies were named and the commission chose to close out the complaint against the licensed Tennessee company.
I have a question to Ms. Vest.
Go ahead.
And I hate to bounce the ball down the table. Would it be appropriate to get a ruling from Attorney General's office on this? Because this seems to be more of a technical legal issue.
Be really careful what we do ask, because we really don't know what your response is going to be from the Attorney General's office. We would be setting the precedent there to ask for that, but that's what the commission votes to do. Of course, we could. We'd have to word it in a way that would not prohibit companies from coming into the state of Tennessee. From what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong there, we have two companies who did the proper thing. It's just who went into a contract with whom.
If I may, Madam Chairman, without, from what I understand, Company A outside of Tennessee needed some background or some sort of investigative work, and they contracted sub through a company that is properly licensed in the state of Tennessee, and asked them for some services.
Not exactly. The companies here in Tennessee.
The company that will receive the searches, they are a Tennessee company. So Tennessee company contracted with an out-of-state investigative company.
Oh, okay. I did
to
not
provide
understand
those
that.
services. When those searches led them back to Tennessee, they subcontracted that work to a licensed Tennessee company.
But
and
who
so
was
the
the
question,
original
so the
contract?
question becomes, do you think those actions require a license by that out-of-state company?
Madam Chair, may I ask, this is Rich in Chattanooga, may I ask a simple question?
Yes, Commissioner Rich, go right ahead.
Are all parties involved still fully licensed and without other violations?
Yes.
What?
Thank
Am I
you.
misunderstanding the question, Beth? Well, we know the respondent is not licensed, and that's the question. If those actions by this responding company should require a license.
I got you. But the work done in Tennessee was by a licensed organization.
Yes, sir, it was.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other discussion? We have a motion by Commissioner Russo just to get to further discussion. Guess we need another motion to conclude this in one way or the other.
Madam Chairman, Larry Flair here. I'm under the impression that there's two licensed companies, and I don't see the violations. There's two
Both
licensed
licensed.
companies, but I don't see the violation that the company out of state is involved, and I don't see the violation that the licensed company in Tennessee is. I understand the respondent does not. Am I understanding that correctly, Madam Chairman?
I was under the impression that the out-of-state company did not have a Tennessee license.
But they are licensed in the field in their state.
Question: Does that state have a reciprocal agreement with Tennessee?
No, wait. Do we have an agreement with Oklahoma? We do not have an agreement with Oklahoma.
I believe there's more that we're not getting here. Would it be proper for us to require a informal or formal hearing on this so additional information could be brought forth?
Can I ask what information that, just to see if there's something that I can give you that I was not giving you? What exactly is giving you pause on deciding whether or not there was a violation here?
Commissioner Russo?
Okay, the consent order for the civil penalty, is that to the company that is licensed in the state of Tennessee or the company that is not licensed in the state of Tennessee?
That was to the company that was not licensed in Tennessee. The complaint against the Tennessee company was closed at the last meeting because there was no violation found against them, because they were performing services in Tennessee as a licensed company.
Is it appropriate for me to make a motion at this time, Madam Chairman?
It is.
I make a motion that we rescind our original consent order and close this matter for no cause.
Is there a second? Commissioner Russo has made a motion.
I'll second that, Madam Chairman.
Second by Commissioner Flair.
One point of clarification, Madam Chair. We have a quorum without my vote, correctly?
Yes.
Yes. I'm inclined to vote in favor of this, but I don't want to have to break a tie if there's a I agree with the motion, but I'm trying to be fair. I'm looking at it on my smartphone, which is smarter than I am, but and we'll destroy it upon the conclusion of this meeting. But I just want to make sure that I don't do something that's not prudent. So I will abstain unless there's a tie. If there's a tie, then I will vote.
Well, Dr. Rich, what is your reason for abstaining?
Well, like I say, I'm in favor of the motion,
Well, then
I'll go ahead and vote.
I'm going to do a roll call. David Brown,
Aye.
Alan Russo,
Aye.
Minnie Lane,
Aye.
Larry Flair,
Aye.
Dr. Rich.
Aye.
Madam Chair, the ayes have it.
Motion carries. Okay.
Okay, the second case that I have to represent is 2014-027-721. This complaint was established on October 28, 2014, when the commission received information from a news report indicating that respondent was arrested. Information shows that the respondent was arrested on June 30th for assault, which is no longer a part of her criminal history, and on September 9, 2014 for theft of property over $10,000, which is currently on judicial diversion through 2017. The respondent failed to report either arrest to the commission. The commission previously authorized a formal hearing and issued a proposed consent order with a civil penalty in the amount of $1,000. Since receiving the proposed consent order, the respondent expressed to legal counsel that she no longer practices or works in the field of private investigation. The respondent requested the commission accept voluntary revocation of her license rather than the civil penalty. The respondent has agreed to sign a consent order revoking the respondent's license. The revised recommendation was to accept the voluntary revocation in lieu of the civil penalty.
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion. We accept council's recommendation.
Motion by Commissioner Flair to accept
Second.
the recommendation. Second by Commissioner Brown. Discussion?
I have one quick question to council, please, ma'am. If in fact those licenses in this particular instance are revoked or given up or whatever, and that person decided to reapply, will that remain in the file? And that might be for Madam Chairman. For Director.
Yes, it will, and then we would have to bring it back to the commission
Okay,
if the chair will reapply.
That's all the discussion I have.
Any other discussion?
I had the same question.
Okay. Would you do a roll call, please?
David Brown,
Aye.
Alan Russo,
Aye.
Minnie Lane,
Aye.
Larry Flair,
Aye.
Dr. Rich.
Aye.
Ayes have it, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Assistant Counsel Thomas. Following our agenda now, the next item we have is administrative matters, and I would like to turn these over to our Executive Director, Cody Vest, please.
I would, Madam Chair, I'd like to ask if we can have a change in the agenda. Our speaker today is Richard Riddle, who is an investigator with the Tennessee Office of Attorney General Reporter and a state employee. So I would like to know if we could move his presentation to now, if he's ready. Because I
That'd be
know
fine
he's got
with
things he
me.
will have to be doing later.
I didn't realize he was already
Can you do
here.
that now?
We'll be glad to hear him now. Yes.
Madam Chair, will this be Exhibit E?
Is this exhibit E?
No, we don't have an exhibit, Dr. Rich.
Oh, I'm sorry.
This would just be a presentation that we have.
I got you. So I'll just be able to hear it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Rich, I'm the exhibit, so.
Okay.
Is,
I'm the loser not being able to see there and see you, but
No,
I
I-
appreciate your patience.
I'd argue you're the winner on that one, so
Yes, it is.
most people would.
3.
We have a tie vote.
All right. Director Vest asked me to do a presentation before you folks. I had done a educational presentation before at the previous Taupe Continuing Ed meeting, the conference that they held, December? November? I've lost track since then. Previously, I was with the insurance division for the state within this building. The Department of Commerce and Insurance's insurance division is housed here. I was the fraud investigations manager for that division. General Cooper was kind enough to extend to me an offer of employment in his office, so I transferred up there about 2 years ago. I've enjoyed both experiences. In some ways, I miss the insurance cases. They seem a little bit clearer cut sometimes. But right now I get a lot of variety of cases because right now I'm in the Consumer Protection Division for the state. What that means is that I investigate any matters of unfair trade practices, any acts of deception by any merchant in this state, and no matter what industry.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Could we ask Dr. Rich to move his phone? That's the noise we think
Is that
that
what
we're
I
hearing.
thought that was me.
Can you put your phone on mute, Dr. Rich?
I surely can. Then I won't be able to hear him.
No, yes, so we just won't be able to hear you.
Oh, okay. Okay, I can cover it, so yeah.
Let's see if that will help.
Is that better now?
Yeah, so that appears to be better. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So, Director Vess asked me if I could do a presentation in regards to my current role with the Attorney General's office, and of course, I'm open to any kind of discussion regarding my previous experience here in this building under the Insurance Division. I really had very little planned out as far as a presentation material. I figured this might be better as a discussion rather than a presentation. I have an outline of some topics I'm more than happy to go over to get the discussion going. So, all right, grab this. Dr. Rich, if you've got any questions, feel free to chime in.
Thank you very much. I'll otherwise keep the microphone covered.
I appreciate it. Thank you. So, well, as you should be aware, the Attorney General for the state right now is Herbert Slatery. General Slatery was appointed back in October of 2 years ago. He came aboard the office shortly after I had just transferred up. So he was previously the attorney for the governor himself when the governor took office. And so it was a natural transition from the governor's office to the Attorney General's office. The role of the office is to be the state's attorney. He right now represents every agency in this state, including this board, including this division. So, as Ms. Lane can advise you, our office does opinions. The opinions don't quite carry the weight of law, but they certainly carry quite a bit of weight. Ms. Lane had recently requested an opinion from our office in 2012.
We're appreciative of that.
I'm certain. So I need clarification sometimes too, so I get a more informal opinion from him. So, but the opinion you requested was regarding digital forensic providers. Now, within our office, there are several divisions besides the Consumer Protection Division. The Consumer Protection Division is the largest division because we cover so much. As you can imagine, the regulatory boards cover quite a few areas. Well, we cover everything the regulatory boards cover and everything else. So But within that division, or excuse me, within our office, there are several divisions that are important to you as a board, that are important to the profession as a whole. So there's the tax division. And the reason the tax division is important to you is because that is the division that represents your board. So if you have a question or concern, and besides Ashley and her group here in General Counsel, if there is any need from the Attorney General's office, you would go through Larry Lewis's division, the tax division. So now how you would do that would probably be through Ashley, whatever method of communication you've got. So the Consumer Protection Division, as I said, covers all areas. One of our specializations, though, is the unauthorized practice of law, UPL, as we refer to it, which is a specific section that anybody who is not properly licensed by the state of Tennessee to be an attorney and practice law is subject to civil penalties as well as potential for criminal penalties for pretending to be an attorney. Very often we'll see a scam where somebody will say, hey, look, I'm not an attorney, but let me draft this document for you, and you pay $300. I'm not an attorney, but let me give you some legal advice. Here's my bill. So the overture of stating you're not an attorney is no defense when what you're providing is a legal service or defined as legal service. You would be amazed at the number of cases I work in that area. Notario publicios are a common theme. Notario publicios are typically document preparation services that appear mostly in Hispanic communities. And in addition to miscellaneous other services they may provide, like tax services, they will often try to draft documentation for people seeking maybe legal status, people seeking a divorce, people seeking custody. And very often there is no actual licensed attorney involved in those schemes. And so the results of that action that they take, the results of the product they create, are not necessarily beneficial to the person who's receiving the service. They should have gotten proper legal advice or represented themselves pro se. That is always an option in the state. So, and like I said, that is a large chunk of what I actually deal with. In addition, within the division, we do perform criminal investigations. That's done through the law enforcement and special prosecution side. There's currently no investigator in that office, in that division. Most recent one accepted a fairly generous offer from the private sector, and it would have been foolish to not take it, so he jumped on it. So right now I'm fulfilling both roles to a certain degree. I am not a commissioned police officer. I'm still a civil investigator with my experience in private investigations and corporate investigations. So it's a new world for me. But it's still the same old. You knock on doors, you ask questions. You trace down the documentation you need, you trace down the evidence you need. So that role will hopefully be filled soon. Once it is, I'll certainly relinquish those duties gladly and happily. It's less violent, less dangerous. So we'll see from there. So, in addition, we have a section that's dedicated to being liaisons for victims in criminal trials that have gone to appeal. When a criminal case is gone to an appellate status, the Attorney General's office represents the state at that point. And so we don't want to lose track of our victims of a crime because their livelihood may be impacted by decisions made after that. Their life may be impacted by the decisions made after that. So we always want to make certain we've got good communications there. In addition, there is a division dedicated to the public interest. That includes charitable oversight. The impact that would have on a private investigative firm would be that if there is a nonprofit investigative firm, there are certain obligations they have to fulfill. Okay, I know that's unlikely. Most of us are in it for the paycheck. So, but there's always the possibility. So, in addition, we also in that division cover concerns for open meetings, public records request, and of course, public records requests are going to be a big concern for any private investigator. So, keep that in mind. The contact information in the office. If anybody wants to take this down, I'm going to just provide these numbers and this address. In general, if you wish to mail a complaint in, if you wish to mail a request in, it all goes to one P.O. box here in Nashville. It's P.O. Box 20207 here in Nashville. And the zip code for that post office box is 37202. That's also available on our website. Physically, we're located in the John Sevier building at 500 Charlotte Avenue. So we are not easily accessible. First of all, most people don't even realize the building's there because we're right next to Cordell Hole. We share that space with Highway Patrol too. So, but we are available for meetings, especially with other government agencies. So, and then my phone number. If you've ever got any questions or concerns, this is I open this up to the PI industry as a whole. I open it up to the board, any state employees. Is area code 615-741-8735. And I can be contacted through my email address as well, which is rich, R-I-C-H, .riddle, R-I-D-D-L-E, at ag.tn.gov. So that's rich.riddle at ag.tn.gov. So, and as far as presentation material, that's my introduction. So I'm open to any questions from anybody. So.
Well, Madam Chairman, how many investigations, say, annually do you have to perform?
In the Consumer Protection Division, there is no statute of limitations with the CPA.
Okay.
So when I walked in, I probably had 80 cases sitting on a desk ready for me to tackle. Since then, I probably maintain about 80 cases at any given time. So,
By yourself, sir?
I am. Yeah. There is another investigator in the Medicaid Fraud Investigations Division. Her title is investigator. She is a fully fledged investigator with the same authority I have. Her primary role, though, is as an analyst, overseeing medical records, bills, and such. I began using her recently for consumer protection cases. I'm tickled to death to have her because she's a very competent investigator. That's Stephanie Ritchie. So right now, there's two of us carrying the workload of probably about a dozen. So most attorney general's offices through other states, for every attorney, there's an investigator. Here, we're just not defined that way. So.
Do you ever get any complaints from, I guess, civilians that have retained an attorney and someone in the office staff of the attorney's office is given information or given legal advice? Are those very numerous?
Actually, no. There is a requirement for attorneys to oversee their staff. It's an ethical obligation for attorneys. Very rarely will you see an attorney not react to that because their license is on at that point. So, but there are occasions where it does still occur.
It would be someone that had worked in law office or working in law office that just on their own outside the law office got involved in giving legal. Interesting.
And all of those cases are fact specific because the entity that defines whether a practice is legal practice or the unauthorized practice are the courts.
Right.
So there's not a particular statute that you can point to. I mean, the statutes are certainly there to say what needs to be done about the unauthorized practice law. But the actual definition of what is the unauthorized practice of law is made by our Supreme Court or a lesser court. So.
That's the Board of Professional Responsibility for Attorneys that oversees that.
The Board of Professional Responsibilities oversees the actual attorneys, but when the facts cross beyond that to an unauthorized person, that becomes our world. And very often we get our referrals from the board. So, and sometimes we discover that it's actually a licensed attorney who's performing misconduct, and so in which case we'll refer it back. So. We do still have several cases that we have to consider against entities that are regulated by other agencies. And so we try to stay in good contact with all of these agencies. I think that's why I'm very grateful for Director Vest for inviting me here today. I like to stay in contact with the PI Board, the Securities Investigations Division, the Insurance Division, the Department of Motor Vehicles, basically every agency out there. We've got something touching your area. So.
some of the audience back there are signing up for continuing education on this. They may have some questions if it's possible.
I'll be happy to answer. Absolutely.
I know y'all handle the consumer fraud type stuff. Out of state companies that are contacting Tennessee residents.
There are certainly industries that I seem to be having come across my desk more often. And yes, they can come from out of state into our state, or they can originate in our state. So whether it's a Tennessee-based company selling a product, whatever that product is, whether it's inside the state or going outside the state, that can get us involved. But also any state coming from out of state into our state could get us involved. I'm going to refrain from mentioning the industries that I see most often out of respect for those industries. But typically door-to-door type sales is a general category, general tactic that we have to deal with. In addition, there are always exaggerated billing cases. The age-old scheme of sending a company an invoice for some product that you actually didn't provide. So there are always the referrals that we simply can't do anything with. The unknown malefactor, the person who calls you up saying is with the IRS, you need to pay money or he's going to show up and sue you. We get a lot of those complaints. There is very little we can do about that. There are some concerns that we can jump in on those if we can identify the person or identify the organization involved. It's usually very difficult. Most of those are done through a voice over internet protocol, and those service providers are very difficult to deal with. It's not to say we can't, it's just to say that it's a tough battle. And when you've got so many copycats within a certain scheme, you'll have one party conducting the scheme. His buddy down the road says, hey, that's a great idea. I'm going to set it up too because I want to make some money. It happens. We simply have to deal with what we can identify. So
You have some that come into your office that you have to go ahead and refer on to federal
yes,
level.
absolutely. Matter of fact, we deal very well with the feds here. So we've got some good federal agencies here, good federal agents. So. And a lot of our statutes that we're allowed to enforce, we have some authority to enforce some federal statutes, depending on the facts. So that's nice. That's a nice way for us to get involved. So telemarketing particularly. So
There's not that much double jeopardy in that either.
I'm going to refrain from making the legal argument. The reason being is I got into it with an attorney about whether there was double jeopardy involved in that. So
I've heard that argument several times. Is where I was coming from with that. But as you know, or most people, the criminal world, in my opinion, you get somebody with an illegal firearm and drugs, it can state. Then you can also go federal with them. So,
yeah,
does that happen that much with your office?
There is a line which can be crossed between civil prosecution and criminal prosecution fairly easily. However, when you're dealing with the same fact sets and you're dealing with it under different statutes, there's going to be some argument. So defense is always going to have an argument there. So. I am available if you ever need anything from our office, or for that matter, if you need to get information from another agency. We are a hub of communication for the state. We represent every agency out there. So if you're not quite certain where something should land, give me a call. I may not know, but I'll find out. So,
Thank you.
Absolutely.
We appreciate your time and you coming down here and investigating it, and maybe calling on you.
I call him all the time.
I call her all the time too. So, yeah, so
Thank you so very much.
absolutely, absolutely.
Thank-
Well, getting back to the agenda, the next item, or do we want to take a break? Let's take about a 10-minute break. Are we rolling? Okay. Let the record show that we are through with our break and we're back on the record at this time. Following our agenda, the next item is administrative matters, and I'll turn these items over to our Executive Director, Cody Vez. There'll be exhibits B through G.
All right, we'll go to Exhibit B. This is a disciplinary action report for the months of January and February. Actually, the Private Investigation Polygraph Commission did not have any disciplinary action for the month of January or for the month of February. Of course, as always, I provide you with everything that the office has for our disciplinary action report for our other professions. Okay, now if you have any questions, please stop me because we'll kind of go through this rather quickly. All right, now let's go to Exhibit C, which is the monthly report. From now on, not this time, I don't think. Is this a new format? If you notice, this is a new format. The administration has taken out some of the redundancy of this, and it's a simpler report. For January, you do have a vacancy in January, February. Of course, is Alan Russo, and he will serve as he wishes to serve until the governor reappoints, because Mr. Russo is not eligible for reappointment. But let me see. I did make a notation here, if I'm not mistaken. February. We have get more fingers over here. We did have a commission meeting that was scheduled on Friday, January the 22nd, but we rescheduled it due to inclement weather, and it was on Friday, February the 5th, 2016, 9:30, conference room 1A, which is what we're in now. And your electronic fingerprint rules became effective February the 2nd, 2016. Simply states that anyone who's making an application must have their prints taken electronically. Excuse me. We'll move on to the next one. Exhibit D. We're fortunate last meeting to have our assistant commissioner come down and speak with us about the budget, which is still looking pretty good. But I'm required to give you an update every month that we meet. The first thing you're going to see is a spreadsheet that goes from July to January. We're always just a few months behind there. Your total expenditures are $66,019.77. If you flip over to the next page, you will see your revenue, $107,537.64. Polygraph, it was for a total for the year is $4,200. It looks like we're on a good budget target. So we will not be talking about unless something drastically happens about any type of an increase. But we do have to make sure we break even. Our legislative update, we'll move on to that one. We do have House Bill, for your information, we do have House Bill 1474. It was not your bill. It amended 55-9-107, but it did open Title 6226, which is your chapter. And simply stated, it just says that private investigators are exempt from the window tinting requirements. but you can look through that. Motor vehicle windows with tinting, reflector, or sunscreen material. So as private investigators, you are exempt from that.
Put it in, there it is.
So we can play Mafia.
All right.
I beg your
yes.
pardon, Dr. Rich?
I said we can play Mafia. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm just glad to know you're still with us.
I'm hearing everything.
All right, good. Okay, the next thing we're going to go to is our Alabama reciprocal update here. It is Exhibit F. It was signed by Minnie Lane, which I signed for her, on February the 5th, 2016, and it was signed by the chairman of the board of the Alabama Commission on November the 11th, 2016. So this is in effect. I'm going to say the effective date is March 11, 2016. So now we do have a reciprocal agreement with Alabama. We always had one, but this changed a little.
FYI, this reciprocal memo that includes Alabama was posted to our website this morning, the revised agreements. So if anybody needs to know anything about our reciprocal agreement,
Thank you, Beth. All right, the next one we're going to go to is going to be our Exhibit G, Private Investigation PI Company Application Review for Robert Lee Vogel, Bald Eagle Investigations. You may need to take a few minutes to read this. His law license was suspended for a year. He did contact the office and tell us about this.
Is he present?
No, ma'am,
Okay.
he's not. Your second page is it shows you the revocation of license, but I think we need to change that. If there is a violation or you choose not to, it's 6226-207A5, which would be under poor moral character. If you look at page 3, it should explain everything to you that happened without you having to read the entire opinion. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to look that over. Dr. Richard, you have that?
I have it. I'm looking at it. Yes, thank you.
Dr. Rich, have you had time to review the
I have.
paperwork? Okay.
I have.
But me. Bear with me just a minute. Everybody's reviewed this enough? Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, let me make it clear the gentleman has made application to be a private investigator in a private investigation company. These applications have not been approved.
I'm calling for a motion in order to get to discussion.
Oh, can I ask a question? Is it
Let's go ahead and get the motion to
motion.
open it up for questions, please.
I move that Mr. Vogel's application not be approved.
second?
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Russo. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by
Commissioner Brown.
Commissioner Brown. Is there a discussion?
His license is suspended for a year. Law license is suspended for a year.
Yes.
A question, Madam Chairman.
Right now, this is out of the ordinary, but we need to take just say 5-minute break.
All right, you'll be fine. Dr. Rich, just hold on a moment.
Let us show us back on the record. Any discussion?
I had a quick question, Madam Chairman. The suspension on this individual, the way I read it throughout, it's for 1 full year on the, as far as his attorney. What's in front of us today is nothing other than to approve or deny his application on both his PI and business. Is that right?
Yes, sir, that's correct. The company and the individual
Okay.
applications.
We can do that in one motion.
You can either, yes, sir, you can do it one motion to either approve his applications or deny the application. And then we would give the code that we've denied under.
We've got a motion on the floor to deny.
Second.
Point of clarification, Madam Chairman.
Yes,
This is the motion to deny both the company and the private investigator's license?
yes.
Yes, okay.
If that's the case, we would need to quote the statute that we would have been denying under.
Someone give me the, can staff give me the,
2062. Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
The statute would be under the poor moral character, 6226-207A5. Is, I would suggest, but whatever the commission wishes.
That sounds good enough to me.
I'd like to include that statute in my motion.
Second, if we need to.
We have a second
Commissioner,
by Commissioner Brown. I didn't forget. I'm trying to word it.
And you need that word under the authority of 6226-207A5.
Under the authority of
Under the authority of 6226 207 A5. I move that we deny the application
company and
for the company and personal license.
second.
Mr. Brown second that.
For a roll call, David Brown,
Aye.
Alan Russo,
Aye.
Minnie Lane, Larry Flair,
Aye.
Dr. Rich.
Aye.
The motion carries to deny the application for private investigation and private investigation company. Correct? All right.
Now, I'm ask a question. Will that denial go in his record in case he ever applies again?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, is that all on your list? Was that?
Yes,
That
ma'am.
was
That's all I
G.
had on my part of the agenda.
Okay.
I do have something else to discuss, but it come under other business.
Okay. Next on our agenda, we have listed the education report, and I'm requesting Administrative Assistant Beth Smith Bell to handle this item. And as the agenda should reflect, the Education Committee met here, open to the public at 9 o'clock Central Daylight Time prior to the call of the order of the commission meeting. These items appear under Exhibit H. Would you handle that?
I will.
Thank you.
Before we review all these, would you want to entertain adding someone to the education committee, or you want to wait till the next meeting, or?
Why don't we wait when we have the election for vice chairman and handle that item?
Okay. For the courses that were sent out to the Education Committee for review, right now the Education Committee consists of Minnie Lane, Alan Russo, David Horton, and Dr. Rich, and Walt Valentine. And since Walt Valentine has resigned, we do have an open position on the Education Committee. The first thing submitted for review was submitted by Ann Charvet. She attended Advancing Youth Development Seminar in January of 2015 for 12 hours. I'm going to read all these into the record. The recommendation this morning was to approve everything that was submitted, it's all been reviewed. So I think we could do one motion at the end.
Good.
Okay. The next item on the agenda was submitted by Crystal L. Ham for her continuing education. She completed 3 levels of advanced animal cruelty investigator through the National Animal Cruelty Investigation School. It consisted of 120 hours of pretty comprehensive. She wants to use that for her continuing education. The next item is Ricky Allen Henson. He is attending yesterday and today the North Carolina Polygraph Association continuing education seminar for 14 hours. He wanted that to count for his Tennessee private investigator continuing education. He holds a polygraph license in North and South Carolina. He holds a Tennessee PI license. The next item was submitted by Mike Whaley. He completed the Tennessee Methamphetamine and Pharmaceutical Task Force Clandestine Laboratory Investigation Certification. It's 38.5 hours. He also attended the Regional Organized Crime Information Center Video Surveillance for Law Enforcement training, and it was 24 hours. The recommendation was to approve. The next item on the is Lee Richard Nettles. He attended in service for 40 hours through the Coffee County Sheriff's Office. He also attended a 4-hour phaser conductive energy weapon operator certification. Organizations that were submitted for approval. PIeducation.com has submitted the following online courses for review. Basic crime scene photography was submitted for 12 hours. Covert surveillance tactics for the professional investigator, 6 hours. Insurance investigations from A to Z, 6 hours. Investigating nursing home abuse, 6 hours. And the art of surveillance for 6 hours. The recommendation was to approve those. And we have just an updated agenda from the TPIA seminar that is next weekend in Knoxville. Cody and I were not going to be able to attend, so they gave us a new list of speakers, which is already approved because they're on the recognized organization. But I'd like to let y'all know what they're doing. So that is all of the education. The recommendation this morning was for approval, and we would need a motion.
Is there a motion for approval?
Madam Chairman, I approve. Make a motion. We
Motion.
approve these classes.
Okay, motion made by Commissioner Brown. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Russo.
Ready for the roll call?
Yes, roll call, please.
David Brown,
Aye.
Alan Russo,
Aye.
Minnie Lane,
Aye.
Larry Flair,
Aye.
Dr. Rich.
Aye.
Ayes have it, Madam Chair. And we would like to explain the reason that we're not going to be able to make it there. It's the Easter weekend, and we'd already made other plans with our families and didn't realize it was Easter weekend when we accepted that speaking engagement.
I don't think they realized when they set it up.
We hope to be invited again.
I'm sure you will. Thank you, Administrative Assistant Bell. We come next to unfinished business on the agenda, and I'll ask if there's anyone has any unfinished business. If not, let's go to the next item, which is new business, and I'll ask if anyone has any new business.
Yes, ma'am. I would like to take a moment to thank Judge Collier for the meeting with the Private Investigation Commission at our last meeting. It was nice to her to come and give that presentation. I personally, as the executive director, learned quite a bit from that meeting, and I hopefully will be putting it into place. We'd also like to thank Rich Riddle, the Office of the Attorney General's Office, for coming in and speaking with us today. I did not know we would not have a full quorum, but a full commission, but that's fine. We certainly appreciate him taking his time to do that. One other thing is we are revamping our entire office. We have 3 temporaries right now. We've already been approved for 3 more, so that would be 6 temps that we will hopefully be assisting us. We have 2 new employees that are supposed to start next month, I think on the 4th. And we have 3 more positions, hopefully, that we're going to get filled soon. But that is a process. And I do apologize for not introducing Phyllis Patrick, who is sitting to my right next side of Attorney Thomas. She is our administrative assistant, and she will be taking over this board in place of Beth Bell.
Phyllis Patrick.
Phyllis Patrick. I'm
Welcome.
trying to relieve Beth of some of her responsibilities that she has extremely overloaded. Doesn't mean that she won't be coming back in and doing whatever needs to be done, of course. Be my luck. Phyllis probably find another job in 2 weeks, but we hope not. But and we want to thank Beth, of course, for everything that she has done with this program. And like I say, she will be coming back and forth, but she is extremely overloaded with the new personnel that's going to hopefully be coming in. We've restructured everyone's position, and even the way that we're doing our applications and the way everything is moving. We are constantly meeting with the new core system that we have. We are working now where the applications will be online. So you would be making application. There are what we refer to as stop questions. One of them would be a criminal record. The other one is make sure that you've supplied everything that you would need with the application. If you have not, you will not be allowed to submit the application. We're still working on that and how we're getting the continuing education. The first step was the fingerprinting process. With some of our other programs, what we're doing, we're going to start accepting their education electronically. So we will be coming back to this commission as well to talk with our associations on how we're going to get the continuing education sent to us in an electronic format, which would actually just download right into the private investigators app on file. We won't have to be touching it. So we got a lot of changes that are being made in the office. Just want you to be aware of it since it is your commission. And we certainly enjoy working with every one of you. So thank you.
You all, and we appreciate you. Okay, at this point, we're now at the continuing education participation form. Has anyone signed up for that? Okay. Well, there being no further business, I'll call for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
Paul Rich in Chattanooga. May
Yes.
I make a comment?
certainly.
I want to thank Cody for approving and Beth for laboring to organize and supervise and make it possible for me to participate in this manner from my home in Chattanooga. I miss being, and I want to thank the fellow commissioners for understanding. It's been a rough journey. I have my own nurse practitioner. She's with me 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for several months. I now have her many days a week, but no longer 12 hours a day. She is stable, but still very weak, and I hope to meet with you the next time in person, provided she's not too weak for me to leave her. It would be inhuman for me to leave her today. Thank you for understanding, and thank you for letting me participate in this forum.
You, Dr. Rich. Okay, I'm going to call for a motion to adjourn the March 18, 2016 meeting of the Tennessee Private Investigation and Polygraph Commission.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Russo. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Brown. Any
All right.
discussion?
Ready for a
Okay.
roll call?
I'm ready for a roll
Sorry,
call.
I interrupted. David Brown,
Aye.
Alan Russo,
Aye.
Minnie Lane,
Aye.
Larry Flair,
Aye.
Dr. Rich.
Aye.
You have an eye. All ayes, Dr.
Thank you.
Chair.
Meeting adjourned.